Just a thought that came to mind while I was reading this week's scriptures. In Matthew chapter 6, I believe it was, has the reference, you cannot serve God and mammon. Now, this really has nothing to do with what we were reading, but the word mammon reminded me of what Cain called himself. He called himself Master Mahan. And I got curious, Mahan, mammon, do they have a similar root? So I looked it up, and I was reminded that Mahan is actually only in the book of Moses. It's not in the Bible. And so it is a word unique to LDS scripture. And we really don't know what it means. There's theories about what Hebrew words might be the root of it, what two words are combined to make Mahan, and what it could mean based on that. But I was thinking, before the Tower of Babel, there was one language. Everybody spoke the same language. And then God came down and confused everything, and we got the plethora of languages that we do now. According to ancient tradition, there were 70 languages originally after the Tower of Babel. But the only people after the tower who continued to speak that original language, what we call the Adamic tongue, or the language of Adam, were the Jaredites. So that language has been completely lost. However, in modern revelation, we have many words, and when I say many, I mean a dozen or so, maybe up to 24, something like that, but words from the Adamic tongue that have been revealed, and sometimes even their meaning is revealed, although not always. For instance, we have the word Adam-on-Diamond, and that is the land of God, the land where Adam dwelt, or the land of God where Adam dwelt. But we also have Oleha Shanea, which is the location where Adam dwelt. We also have in the book of Abraham, Kokab means stars. Kolob is the grand governing star. Kokwabim is the plurality of stars. All these words of the language of Adam, which also is the language of God. So, and it got me thinking, there's many names from before the flood in the Bible. I won't say there's not many, of course, we don't really know a lot of the people there, but most of the names before the flood, we don't really have a real definition for. Well, I won't say most, there's a number of them. Several of the names we don't really know. Methuselah, we don't really know what it means. Lamech, we don't really know what it means. I don't think we know what Mahalalel means either. And there's a lot of people who speculate, it could be this Hebrew word and this Hebrew word put together in some way, and this is the root where it originates from. But what if we're thinking about that backwards? What if these names are actually from the Adamic tongue? That original language. They are the actual root of what comes later. For instance, in the Bible, before the Tower of Babel, I think he's the fourth after Shem, is Heber, spelled with an H, Heber. But in the Chronicles, his name is Eber, without the H. We also have variations on all the names in Chronicles, as opposed to what is given in Genesis. So what if what is given in Genesis is the Adamic tongue? And what comes later is the derivatives that were kind of created in different languages after the Tower of Babel. So rather than looking at Mahan and saying what Hebrew words might be the root of that, why not instead look and say, instead of saying what Hebrew words were combined to make Mahan, ask what Hebrew words were traced back to Mahan. Maybe that's why we don't understand what these words mean. is because they're not Hebrew. They're not of any language we currently know. Just a thought. Nothing real spiritual about it. Just a thought.